How is the finance function structured in your organization? For some organizations, the finance function and the accounting function are one and the same. Whatever structure you have in place, how effective and how optimized are these functions? My name is Oyekemi Ajayi, and today I'm going to be speaking on optimizing the finance function in a medium and small size organization. As we proceed, I need to put this out. The focus of this presentation is largely on small and medium-sized organizations. Recall that every business organization needs a strong finance and accounting function or department to be able to succeed. No business can survive without finance. The accounting and finance function are responsible for several activities within the organization, which ranges from financial planning, financial management, financial control, and the likes to help support the business. Recall that this helps and influences the bottom line of your organization. The unit is expected to act with integrity. The staff, the individuals within the unit are expected to act with integrity and provide accurate financial information that will aid decision within the organization. The functions or the role of the accounting department can be grouped into several buckets, right? But there are key functions that must be performed by the accounting and finance function, which we are going to be highlighting as we proceed. The first is around budgeting and financial planning. The second is record keeping and the processing of these records, your financial accounting basically. The third is around payroll, taxation, payables and receivables functions, and as many more. But these I just mentioned are the key functions that we should see in an accounting or a finance function. Let's take it a step further and look at the key things that are expected of an accounting and finance department in every organization. The very first is that you must have a standard operating procedure in place, which is called SOP. You must have a policy manual for items within the organization. So for example, your assets, your payments, you must have SOPs to cover that. The SOP is really a guide on how it should be done within the organization. 2, properly carry out cost assessments and ensure that appropriate cost control measures are in place to ensure savings within the organization. 3, billings and credit control. Ensure that the right amount, your customers are billed the right amounts, and ensure that payment is done as at when due, or payment is received as at when due. 4, we talk about inventory management. Inventory is very key within an organization. When we look at inventory, we talk about stock counts. Do you do stock counts within your organization? This should be done on the first day of the new month. What is done when a product is about to expire within an organization? So for example, if the shelf life is 6 months and we are at the 4th month or the 5th month, what is the policy around that? Ideas could be, sell the products maybe at a reduced amount so that you can get a lot of buyers for the products. What are the policies in place in that regard? What is the economic order quantity in your business? As a finance and accounting function, it's good to have information around this. It's a different case when inventory is separated within the organization, but if you have it under the finance and accounting function, ensure that this is appropriately covered within the organization. Remember, it has an impact on your bottom line. The next we look at is your payroll system and the reconciliation of payroll with the ledger, the general ledger, at the end of the month. So if, for example, you have to pay staff that have resigned, maybe you have to pay them their benefits and this doesn't go with the payroll, how is this reconciled or how is this accounted for within the finance function? The next we'll look at is taxation. How is your tax managed and how is remittance done? Are you doing this in the appropriate manner? Are your taxes remitted as expected? Another point to look at is financial planning and budgeting. For instance, now we are getting into 2023. As a function or as a department, what is your plan around budgeting or even forecasting for the next year? So there are key variables that you need to look at when you are doing this. You need to look at inflation, you need to look at exchange rate, you need to look at the GDP growth rate. There are so many factors that you need to take into consideration when making a projection for your business. You need to also look at policies that the government has set in place at the moment that would impact the flow of business in the coming year. Another point I would also like to mention here is the fact that your procurement should be separated from your accounting and finance function for control purposes. The person making payment should not be the same person negotiating payment terms with vendors. So this must be separated to prevent, the occurrences of fraud within the business. I also advise that you have in place an internal control personnel or an internal control unit that would help to ensure the controls in the organization are fully implemented in order to reduce the occurrence of fraud within the business. And finally, as the organization grows, we recommend that you have an internal audit department in the organization. This would help to review even the controls that we talked about earlier. It will help to review the accounting processes and procedures in place to ensure an effective and smooth running within the organization. Remember that your internal auditor is supposed to be an independent person. Even though he reports to the board, as the case may be within the organization, he is expected to be an independent person within the organization. So I hope this information has been very helpful in understanding how your accounting and finance department should be structured. As we proceed, we can now go into the various processes that should be in place within the organization. If you are yet to connect with me, please do so for more finance tips as we go ahead in coming weeks. Thank you so much for your time and do have a great day. Thank you.